Hello guys, today in this tutorial I will basically build out a CRUD kind of an application using Svelte. Svelte basically it's a front-end framework, very popular, very good alternative to React, JS, Angular or Vue. And you can see basically this is the interface of the application that we will be building in this tutorial. So here where we have a name and country, here we have a simple form and we can add basically a user, and in the tabular structure we will be displaying the users and we will be inserting all this information inside our MongoDB database. I am running this locally, localhost 270. I have installed the community edition of MongoDB Compass. So this is basically my database created, Svelte CRUD, and automatically when I launch the application, a table has been created, a collection has been created of users. So if I refresh now, nothing is present right here. That's why you are not seeing any record present as I load the application. So in the backend, guys, we are actually using Node.js and Express to basically store all of our users to make the connection to the MongoDB database. This is a backend API which basically used to retrieve the records, post records, delete records, update records. So first of all, I will show you how to add a user. So first of all, as I type here the username, the country, click on the button rise, you will see instantly my username will be added right here and it will be displayed without refreshing the page. So this is the importance of using a framework, guys. We are not refreshing the page, we are only refreshing the tabular component because the data is coming from the MongoDB database. We are just updating this using Svelte, which is a front-end framework, and you can see this is a name, this is a country, and we have two buttons out there. Either we can update this information or we can delete this record. And if I, let's suppose I enter one other record here, add user. So now you will see two records will be there. So two records are there, and if I refresh the database, you will basically see two records have been successfully added. ID is automatically generated by MongoDB, guys. Whenever you insert a record, ID is actually a primary key by which you can delete a record, update the record. This is a name, this is a country, this is the timestamp also created automatically, and this is, you can see that all such information is inserted in the table, name, country, ID created at. And now if I, let's suppose, refresh this, so the data will persist because we are retrieving this data from the MongoDB database upon refreshing the page. So this is the importance of storing information inside database, that your information will be persisting upon refreshing the page. If you close this, once again open this, the information will stay. So if I open this localhost 8080, my informations will still there. So now we have two buttons. Either we can delete this information. As I click delete, the record will be deleted. So if you refresh the database, only one record will stay right here. So in this way, guys, you can do this. We can add as many users as we want. You can see that it refreshes instantly. And now if I want to update information, we can simply click edit, and basically now the forms will be editable. You can change the information, change the name here to anything, click on update. So now if you refresh now, your information has been updated in the database also. If I refresh now, that record has been updated successfully, you will see that. So in this way, guys, you can update, delete, just show the users or add a new user. All the four CRUD operations we are performing, guys, in the browser using Svelte. And Svelte, guys, is very fast because it basically compiles the high level JavaScript code to low level JavaScript code, and it doesn't have virtual DOM as compared to other front end frameworks such as React, Angular and Vue. So it is comparatively fast at build time. So we will be looking at a complete example, complete project. So this is actual demo. If you need the full source code, guys, of this project, you can go to the description of this video. You can purchase the full source code by using PayPal or Stripe in United States dollar or Indian rupees. So both the payment links is given. You can get the full source code. So in the next section, guys, we will be start developing this project from scratch. So I will be meeting you in the next section. Now, guys, we will start building our project here. So we will go into my working directory here, and we will basically need to execute this command here. So this command is npx digit degit and svelte.js/template, and then followed by your name of the project. So let's suppose I say Svelte uh, and node CRUD. So let me zoom the command here and you can write it npx digit svelte.js/template followed by the name of the project. This is the actual command, and as you click enter, basically it will clone the template of a basic Svelte project, and after that you will see that cloned, and now you can cd into the directory and open it inside VS Code. So you will basically see, guys, that this is a basic Svelte project, and these are the dependencies we are using here. The build command is very simple. In order to build the project, in order to development server start, this is actual command. So this is the app.svelte file here. This is the basic structure of a basic Svelte project. Here you will store the components here in the source folder. Now to start this project is very easy. The command is very simple. You will simply need to write here npm run dev. It will start your development server. It is saying that rollup is not recognized. Let me see. Okay, sorry, we haven't installed the dependencies, guys. So after you cd into this, you need to simply write npm i. This will install all the dependencies which are mentioned inside the package.json file. So just do a npm i, and after that start the project npm run dev. So this will start the development server on localhost 8080. So if you just open this, sorry, let me open that 8080. So hello world, you can see that. So this is the actual file. We can edit this file accordingly. If I remove all this styling and change this heading, this is project, and let me delete this also. You will see it will refresh here. So now in the next directory, guys, basically in this we will, in the project directory that we have created, let me go into that directory, and here we will Svelte node CRUD. So just open command line and make a second folder for the storing the Node.js code. So we have made a new folder backend, and inside this we will actually install the packages which are required for building the backend API, which is CORS. It is required for basically allowing the access to consume the API using the front end. So because you don't have to have CORS error, cross origin resource sharing error. So Express is used to actually make the web server, backend server, and Mongoose. Mongoose is actually the library which will communicate the access to MongoDB database using our Node.js and Express. So install these three packages, and now after installing it, we can start open that also inside. We can open right here. So we have a backend folder, and sorry, first of all, I forgot to make a package.json file. So npm init-y, this will create an empty package.json file inside, and now you just need to create those three dependencies: CORS, Express, and Mongoose. So you can see basically we have this. So we can create a file here, index.js. So here we can start our Express server. So we can require it and make a new app. We can even require the Mongoose library and CORS as well, require CORS. And after that, guys, we can basically start this backend server app.listen. We can start this on port number 5000, and we can console log a message that app is listening on port 5000. So here we can basically pass the course middleware, guys. This is called as middleware because we are passing in the course middleware so that we can allowing the any front end to consume this API. If you don't use it, you will basically get a cross origin error while in Svelte application in the browser. So it's very mandatory that you do this. So after you do this, guys, we also need two more middlewares, which is express.json. These are body parser middleware. While working with forms, this is required. So express.url encoded inside extended to false. So we will basically get the information which the user will submit using the HTML form in the browser. So now to get that information, we need these two lines of middleware. So just include this also. And after this, guys, we will actually connect to our MongoDB database. So I've already installed this local MongoDB community edition, guys. The software name is MongoDB Compass. So it is available as a desktop software if you are on Windows. It is also available for Mac and Linux as well. So just type here MongoDB Compass and the very first link which comes here, and download this. It will not take a lot of time. It's very free software available for testing out MongoDB in desktop. It makes it very much easy. Now to connect that, we will simply use the Mongoose library and use the connect method. And here we will actually pass MongoDB, the connection string, and localhost 27017 slash followed by the database name. So I have already created a database which is Svelte CRUD. You can see that already we have this collection. Let me delete this collection here. Drop collection. So already a database you can see I have created. In order to create a database, you can simply click here, go to database, create a database and create a basic collection name. So click on create database. So you can easily create it like this. So after this, guys, we will in the options here we can basically pass two options, which is use new URL parser to true, and the second option use unified topology to true. So this method can basically returns. So in the next step we will, this contains a connection string here and connection dot on, connection dot once, and here in the open event we will basically console log whether the connection has been made or not. In the console log statement, if this, you can say MongoDB database connected. So if I launch this application, refresh it, nodemon index.js, so you will basically see a message printed out, guys. You will see MongoDB database connected, app is listening on port 5000. So our database connection is successful, guys. Now we can basically add records, delete records, all that stuff. For that we need to simply create a folder in the root directory models and just create, let's suppose, user.js. So here you can call this anything, but for the sake of this application I'm calling it as user. So I will define the schema here, what sort of records I will store in the database. So for that we will need the Mongoose library. So we need to require Mongoose here, and then we will tell the Mongoose what type of schema that we will be storing here. So this I will call this as user schema and new schema, and it basically takes the key value pair. So we will basically store the name property, and this name property will be of type string, which is a data type, and the second thing we will store is country, and this will also be of type string. It can even be of number as well if you want to store numeric value, and you can even force it that this value should be required. So required it true. So this value is required. User can't leave this field empty. So this also required to true. And the third property, guys, is timestamp. Basically, timestamp is true. It's a Boolean parameter, and which makes it necessary to store it. So what is property assignments accepted? Timestamp true. Let me put a comma. What is, let me just copy this. Rename this to user schema. This is name, this is country. So you can see that, guys, now we have two fields out there, name, country, and this is of type string required true, and the second one is timestamp to true. So now we will simply export this. So we will simply say here Mongoose should create a table or model, which I will call this as user, and with the user schema that we provided. And after that, we just need to export this model. So module.exports, which is user. So now we can easily include this file, guys, in the index.js file. So right here. So we have actually made, if you just refresh this application now, so no error will be there, as you can see that. So MongoDB database connected, and if you just refresh now, if you open this, you will see no collection has been created, because when we try to insert the data, MongoDB will automatically create that collection or table. So now we will go to our this file, guys, which is front end, which is app.svelte, and here what we need to do is that we need to create a components folder in the source directory. So we will have various components. So the very first component will be user list dot svelte, and the second component here will be user form. Here we will create a new user, and that's all. We will have two components here. Now we will write our app.svelte file. So every Svelte component has a script tag, guys, to write the JavaScript code, and then we have CSS if you have some CSS for the component, and then the actual HTML. So this is the basic structure of a basic Svelte component, and we now need to declare here a users array, which will be empty by default. So we need to create a function, guys, which will be async function right here. Every Svelte component has a we can basically write this code here in order to include this component. So right here we can include those components. User list, you can see automatically it has been imported, and user form, you can see that. So both the components have been imported, guys. In VS Code we did not have to write this. So from this components here you will see that. So, and in the user list we will basically pass this users here as an argument. So now to pass this in double curly brackets, we will simply pass it, which is called as users. We are simply passing this argument here to this component, guys. So in order to pass some information from one component to another component in Svelte, we basically in curly brackets we basically write the variable name. In this case the variable is an empty array here, so we are simply passing this information. And now we will basically write our user form. So in the user form, guys, basically what we need to do is that we will actually create a actual form by which we can insert some information to the MongoDB database. So here we will have a HTML. So right here, and you can just write here, we will have a simple form. So inside the form, guys, we can basically give it a on-submit. So this will execute whenever you submit the form by clicking the button submit. So this is event handler. So we can simply say here prevent default to prevent the auto submission of the form, and here we can define a function which will execute whenever you submit the form. So here we can define this function like this, handle submit, in the script section. So after this, guys, inside this form we will have a simple label to enter the name of the person. So we will simply say name and input type text, and here we will bind a value. So bind (value). So this is two-way data binding, guys. So here you will give the variable name. So here in the JavaScript, guys, we will basically declare some variables right here at the very top, which will be name and country. So name will be nothing, and similarly country will also be nothing. So these are basically two-way data bindings. We have binded this variable by using this directive, which is bind (value). So these are called as directives in Svelte, guys, and we can directly bind it to the HTML element. And similarly, this will be required. The user must submit this value. And similarly, we will have another label for our country and input type text, and we will bind the value this time, which will be country, and it should be required. So after that, guys, we will have a button here to submit. We will say add user. So button type will be submit. So if I just refresh our browser, guys, let me see what has happened. It will automatically refresh the changes, guys. If you just go to your localhost 8080, you will actually see a simple form whenever you launch the application, name, country, and add user. So here you can see that. So we have a simple form. So after this, guys, we can basically attach some styling to it by attaching style tag here. We can style the form here, provide some margin from the bottom position, 1 EM, and we can style the labels. This is custom CSS that we are writing, guys. So margin from the bottom position 0.5 EM, and then we can style the input elements, which I can give it a width of 100%, and we can give it a padding of 0.5 EM and margin bottom 1 EM. So that's all. So if you just refresh now, basically it will take the entire space. Let me just hide this. So after this, guys, we will now actually, if you submit the form, guys, nothing will happen because we haven't written that function. So now we need to define or handle submit. So what should happen when you submit the form? So inside this, just first of all make this function as asynchronous. So because we will be sending out a custom event. So we will make a simple post request, guys. So by using fetch API, so which is available for every browser. You did not need to install anything. So you can use await keyword inside your async function. You will use fetch, and we can make a simple call to the backend API which is running on localhost 5000/users. So here we will be fetching all the users which are present. Or sorry, we will make a post request to actually submit a user or add a user to the database. So in the second argument, we will define the method here. The method will be post, and here we'll be assigning the headers, the content type, application JSON. This is a basic syntax, guys, if you want to submit a post request using fetch API. And here we need to define the body. So we will use the json.stringify method to actually convert the data into a JSON string. So in this case, we are passing the name and the country as the arguments. So you can see that name, country, we have binded these two variables right here. So we are simply passing it as a body. And now we will say the newly created user. We will await the response and convert this response to JSON by invoking this JSON method. And now, guys, comes the very important part herein. Basically, in order to communicate from a child component to the parent component in Svelte, we will actually make custom events. So now to dispatch a event, we will actually we need to import a special method here which will actually create a event. It is called as create event dispatcher, and it basically comes from the base library of Svelte. So we are basically importing this method, and now we will actually use it. So now we will declare a dispatch variable, create event dispatcher. We will call this method simply, and now we will actually call this method inside our after this. So we will basically send this user to the parent component. So we can simply call dispatch, and here we can basically say user added. So you can call this anything, because in this scenario, because we added a new user, that's why I added this custom event. And after that, we can simply pass the user, newly created user. That's all. And then we can reset the value, make title to again nothing, and description, name and country to nothing. That's all. So that's all, guys. And now we need to make this backend request inside our database. So just open your backend index.js file. We now need to receive this inside our actual database. So we will do this in the next section, guys. So now, guys, in this section we will actually define our backend route, which will be responsible for adding a new record in the MongoDB database. So right here you can define this. So route to add a new user. So we will actually define this. It's a post request, so that's why app.post/users, and in the callback we will have request and response. It's very simple, guys. Using Mongoose, we need to first of all create a new user by using the model that we created, new user. So it will automatically gets imported, guys, from the models folder that we created. It will create a new instance of it using the schema that we provided. Each user will have a name and a country and a timestamp. So it has created a new constructor of it. We are creating a new constructor of this. So new user, and the data, it will be coming through request.body middleware. So that's why we included these two lines, guys, which is express.json, express.url encoded extended false. So these two lines are very much important if you want to use request.body to actually get the data that we submitted using this content type application JSON middleware. So we are basically passing this data, name, country, and receiving it at the backend using request.body middleware. So after we do this, now we can actually save the user by calling the save method of mongoose, and this returns a promise. We can handle this by using dot then, and now we will have the newly created user. We will convert that user to JSON, and then again, if any sort of error take place, we can simply say here response dot status 4 of 400 and convert to JSON here that error plus error. So that's all that you need to do, guys, inside this request. And if you now try to basically refresh it and try to submit a name here. So let's suppose I submit name Gautam and country India. So click on add user. So you will see nothing happens here, but if you inspect element, you will see that if you refresh your database, a users collection has been created, guys, and an entry has been added. You will see username is Gautam and country is India, timestamp automatically generated, and object ID is automatically inserted. We haven't provided it in the schema, but MongoDB automatically inserted this is a primary key or object ID that you can call it. So in this way you can add as many records. So our post request is automatically working, guys. So now 2 records will be there in the database, and now I will basically get all these records and display it inside the browser. How we can do that? We can basically make a similar request route in the backend API to retrieve all the records, all the users in this case. So now for doing that, we can simply say app.get and slash users, and in the callback request response, and here we will simply use the find method of Mongoose library, and it basically fetches all the users which are present in the MongoDB database, and now we will sort them. Let's suppose we want the latest users to be shown first. So basically this sort function have created at property that we can pass, and this has descending order. So we will be displaying the users in a descending order such that the newly created user will be shown first, and then it returns a promise. We can basically, it will return our users, and we can basically pass it as a JSON response from this backend API. That's all. If any sort of error take place, we can simply show it inside the console. So that's all, guys, that you need to do inside backend. Very simple code. We use the find method of Mongoose, sort it, and then basically return that in a JSON response. And now inside our Svelte component, guys, user list component that we created, here we just need to display them. And inside our script tag, we will basically, it contains a lifecycle method, guys. For every Svelte component, this method execute on mount. So on mount, guys, automatically executes whenever you load your any Svelte component. This is very similar to use effect hook inside React.js. So on mount automatically executes whenever you reload your application. So here we will define a async function which will be called as fetch users to actually fetch all the users from the backend API and display it. So you just need to import this on mount from Svelte internal at the very top, and here we will actually define this function async function fetch users, and it's a normal method. Here we will actually make a simple get call, await. We will again use the fetch API and HTTP localhost 5000 /users, and this will we will convert this response to JSON and store it inside our users. So as you can see guys, in the base component app.svelte, we are actually passing this users as an argument to this user list component. Now how to retrieve this inside our user list component? We can use this using export keyword, export let users. So we are basically we are storing all the users which are coming from the backend API, and then we are storing it inside this users variable that we are getting it from app component, which is currently empty. We are passing to this component, and then we are basically storing the information which is coming to this users variable. And now we just need to display them in the browser. How we can do that? So inside our we can use conditional statements as well guys inside our Svelte component. This is the if condition, hash if, and here we will compare if users dot length is greater than 0. So it is telling that if the user's length is greater than 0, in that case we will display it, our users. So now to close the if condition, we will do something like this. So here we will actually define a table here, and table style we will give it a width of 100%, and table head and table row, and we will have 3 columns here: name, country, and lastly actions. So after this we will have it the table body tag. So here we will have the each statement guys to iterate through the array one by one. So for each loop you may call it, and it contains the user, every user has a ID parameter underscore ID, and we can close this each like this. It's very easy guys. Svelte, where syntax is very easy. Once you get the concept, you will understand how to do this, and we will loop through. And here we will actually create this component. We will pass this, we can simply write here, we can display the user.name. If you just do this like this, what should happen guys, if you refresh this application, you will basically see the names will be displayed here. Harshad, Gautam, you will see 2 records are there. We are actually displaying these records out there. We can basically, what we can do is that we can say here user.name, user.country. So you will see that the name and country has been displaying here. So now instead of displaying this information right here, we can create a new component here which will display this information, which is called as user Svelte. So here we will display all this information in a separate component. It's very good to make multiple components guys, to basically destructure your application into multiple components, so that if you want to change the application in future, then you need to make change in only one code. So now we will basically do the next step in the next section guys. So I will see you in the next section. Now guys, in this section we will basically make that user Svelte component that we created in the last section. So we will basically remove this information here. We will call this component here, which is user. Automatically it will be imported right here at the very top, and we will basically pass this information, this user object, we will pass this to the component, and also one other function we will pass this to this component on update. So this function we will define right here in this component, handle update user. So this function will execute whenever user tries to update that. Let me just delete it for now. I will just need to show the user first of all on the screen. So inside user Svelte here, we will actually in the script section here, we will basically get the user which is passed to this component, because we are basically passing this component a information which is the user object. So now to get this user object, we are basically using export keyword and we are declaring this. So now we will be displaying this information right here. So we will have a tr tag and a td tag, and here we will display our user.name, user.country, and lastly here we will have two buttons for update and delete. So here we will have two buttons which will be edit and delete. So we just need to style this. If you just see guys, basically it will not look great here. You will see that it is not looking great. So we just need to style this. So in the app Svelte component as well, we just need to put the form component above the user list component. Just make these changes, and if you see right here, now we just need to style this table right here. So just make the style tag and we will style it. So td, we will style this. We will provide a border, and we will give it a border to this 1 pixel solid, this color which is DDT. This is a color. We will text align in the left position, and padding will be 8 pixel. th, we will change the background color of it to this color, f2 f2 f2, and we will also define, basically target the button which is cursor to pointer. Background color, we will change the button DC3545. Color of the button, we will change it to white. Border, we will remove it. Padding 6 pixel, 12 pixel. Border radius, we will give it to the button which is 4 pixel. Margin from the right will be around 5 pixel. So if you just refresh, you will see basically it is styling. And lastly, we will also be targeting the input and the element. Just give it a width of 100%. That's all. And also we forgot to also give some styling to the base component, guys. I think you just need to give it this style. Go to main and wrap all this inside the main tag, main element. So these are basically the styles here. So paste it. So we are giving a max width of 600 pixel and margin 2 em auto. And now you can see it is centered on the screen right here. So now it looks quite better. Basically we have displaying here. So basically let me add a new record, country, add user. So if you refresh now, 3 records will be added right here. So now what I want to do, guys, basically as I add the user, I just want to see the result instantly. I don't need to reload the page every time to see a new user being added. So what I can do for that, we can basically have events for that also. User form. So whenever you create a new user, basically we can see we are dispatching this information, user added. This event is passed to the base component app.svelte. So here we can receive this event, but before that we can basically make a handle delete function inside our user.svelte function. So if you see user.svelte, we have this delete button and the edit button. So we can basically bind a function which will be responsible for deleting the record. So we can basically say on click. So whenever you click the button, handle delete. So this function will execute, which will be required to delete the record. So deletion process is very easy. So we can actually define a function here which will be responsible for deleting the record. So handle delete. So we will actually make a simple fetch call to the backend API http localhost 5000 /user/ here we will pass actually the ID. So we can get this ID of the currently passed user.id. So we are using backtick symbol user._id, and then here the method here is delete. So this returns a promise, guys. We can use dot then, and we can basically have we can call this method on update. So we are not past this method. So on update, whenever you call this, we can actually pass this on update as a parameter, which is actually a function handle update user. So basically it is we can define this function in the user list here. So function handle update user. So one updated user will be passed here. So either this is just a callback function. You can even pass functions to child components as well. You can pass data types, functions, arrays, objects, anything you can pass to a parent child. We are actually passing this data and also passing this callback function as well. So anytime when you want to update something, we can call this now. So on update. So we just need to first of all export this. Just let on update. So just make this update function accessible. So this is the actual name of this. So we are actually export let on update. And now we can actually call this function on update. So every time when we delete a record, guys, it will actually update the UI instantly. We don't need to refresh the page for that. So we'll simply call this callback function, and this internally will call this function here. And here what we need to do is that we actually need to call our this function, which is fetch users. We can simply call this function fetch users. So it will update the UI. So and now we just need to make that request in the backend. So just open your index.js, and here we will make the route to actually delete a user. So this time this will be app.delete /users/ the ID, which will be passed. So here, guys, we will actually have this is, let me just explain to you what is happening here. So this will be the request. We will actually get this ID of this is a query parameter, and we can get this using request.params.id. So now we can simply say it contains a method mongoose library find by ID and delete. We will call this, we will pass the ID request.params.id, and then it returns a promise. So after deleting this, we can simply print out a message that user deleted. That's all. If any sort of error take place, we can console log the message. That's all. This is all that you need to do in the backend API, guys. So whenever we call this backend API route here /user, we are basically calling it using fetch, and then we will update the UI. So we can simply say updating the UI. So if you just now refresh the application, guys, click the delete button, you will see it will delete the record and update the UI. So we haven't refreshed the page, guys. You will see that it automatically done in the background. So if you refresh the database also, only one record is present right here. You will see that. So instantly it got deleted. This is the power of Svelte, guys. We can define, we can pass function as arguments too. So similar thing, we will do this to the add a user as well. So whenever we add a user, we need to instantly see the result. We don't need to refresh the page as well. So we will do this in the next section, guys. Now guys, in this section, we will tackle the situation of updating the UI whenever we submit the form to actually see the result. Because in this case, we are adding the user, but we don't see the result instantly. We need to refresh the page to see the newly added user. So for doing this, we will repeat the same process that we done for the deletion process. We will, as you can see in the user form component, we are dispatching this event that we created user added. So whenever a new user is added, we are dispatching this event to the parent component, which is in this case is app.svelte. So now we just need to define this. So wherever we are calling this user form, we will bind this event, which is on dot whatever the name that you have given. So you can see VS Code is also automatically giving me the suggestion. So here we can define any function. So let me say handle user added. This function will execute, guys, automatically whenever a user is added. So we can define this function. So we can say async function handle user added. So here what we can do is that we just need to again get all the records from the database. So we can say again make a fetch call http localhost 5000 / users, and I can call this as users, and then we will simply, sorry, this is response here, and then we can simply manipulate users. We can say response.json. That's all. So as you can see here, this is the users which is currently empty. We are just storing the users, whatever users are coming, and then we are passing these users to this user list component, and it will update the UI instantly. We don't need to wait for refreshing the page. So if you now refresh it, delete everything, so now nothing is present. If you refresh the database, nothing is present right here. If I try to add a record, so you will see automatically, instantly, we got the result. You can see that. So it's a responsive UI, guys. You can see that. So we can delete users, add users, we can display the users, and the only operation is missing, guys. It's the update operation. So as I click the edit button, it should basically show the form to us so that we can update this information. So it is little bit tricky, guys, this update operation, and I will be showing that in the next section. Welcome, guys, to the last section. So here in this section we will tackle the update operation. So how to update a particular user by clicking the edit button. So now in the user component, guys, user Svelte, we need to declare some variables here. First of all, as you can see, we are calling this component user component, and we are passing this function here, which is on update. So whenever the user is deleted or updated, this function is get executed. So you can see that. So here we are defining this on update. So also, guys, we also need a variable is edit mode. So this is set to false. It's a boolean parameter, and the basic purpose of using this variable is to track whether the user has clicked the edit button or not. So currently the value is false. So whenever user will click the edit button, we will make it from false to true, just to keep track whether the user has clicked that edit button or not. And two more variables, guys, which is updated name and updated country, and we will store this current username and country in these variables just to keep track of the updated name and country that the user will write, user.country. We will bind these two variables in the UI. So now we need to conditionally render out the UI guys based upon the edit and delete buttons. So right here we need to make some changes here. In the TD we will add this if conditional. So if this boolean parameter is true, in that case the user has clicked the edit button. So we just need to close this first of all. So here we will actually show an input field because the user has clicked the input field, the edit button. So here we will bind this updated name. You can see the logic here guys, because they have clicked the edit button. We will make this from false to true in the JavaScript so that it will show the input field. Same we will do this for the country as well. So we can simply copy paste. This time this will be updated country, and in the else we also have the else guys also. So if the user hasn't clicked the edit button, in that case we will actually show the value. So this will be user.name. That's all. So just close the if condition here. So same we will do this for add a else block as well. User.country. So currently you will basically see guys, the edit button has not been clicked. That's why the records are showing. Let's suppose I make this value to true. So now basically now the input fields will be showing right here. Now we can edit these values, and also we also need to change these values as well. We need to change from edit to update and delete to cancel. So how we can do that? It's very easy. Same we will apply the principles to this also. Just go down and we will apply the if condition here also. We are just getting the logic guys, very simple. If is edit mode, and if the edit button has been clicked, in that case we will basically have these two buttons which will be cancel and delete, update, sorry. So just close the if here. In the else scenario we will basically show this. So if you see basically now, so the UI changes here. You will see edit mode is changed from false to true. That's why you are seeing update and cancel. So basically here we will bind a on click as well to this button as well. So when we click this, we will execute a function which is toggle edit mode, and here also we will assign on click to both these functions. So when we click this, we will actually make a function which will handle update user, and again toggle edit mode, these two functions. That's all that you need to do in the UI guys. Now we just need to make our JavaScript function. So this function toggle edit mode, this very simple function guys, we will in this function we will toggle the value of edit mode variable. We will make it to the reverse, at the right symbol is edit mode. So if the value is true, we will make it false. If the value is false, we will make it true, just to toggle. So as you can see, if I click cancel, toggle edit mode, edit current value is, sorry, just make it false. Click edit. Now you can see that as I click the edit button, it will change the UI, and as I click cancel, Let me see what is the problem here. Is edit mode is the reverse here, is edit mode. Handle update user is not defined. Sorry, we need to define this function. Handle update user. Just define this function, guys. I think that error will take in place. Edit, cancel. You will see that now the UI has been changing. So now what we need to do is that as I do this, I need to update this value. So how we can do that? Inside handle update user, as I click the update function, first of all, guys, we need to update the UI. For doing that, we will actually make a fetch call to the backend API, which will be http localhost 5000 /user/ the ID that we need to update. So in this case, user underscore ID. Here we will pass the method. This time the method will be put. This is called as the update operation. Here the headers will be passing same content type to application JSON. So just in double quotes, content type application /JSON, and then we will pass the body JSON.stringify, and here we are passing the updated name and updated country. Variables keep tracking of the updated name and country. So this will return a promise, guys, and we will have the response. We need to convert this response to JSON, and this will also return another promise, and now this will contain our updated user. And now inside this we need to change the is edit mode value from to false because we updated the user, and then we will check. We will actually call our on update and pass the updated user as a argument. That's all. We will update the UI, and inside this we will call this method fetch user to update the UI. So now we simply need to make this backend request, guys, to actually update the user. So for doing that, go to our index.js file, and right here we will actually write the endpoints, which is app.put /user/_id request response. So here basically user dot find by ID and update. This is a built-in method of Mongoose, and here we will actually pass the ID that we are receiving, request params.id, and then the actual data, which is the updated name and country, is the second argument. This returns a promise. We will actually have our user, updated user. We will convert that into JSON, and if any sort of error take place, we can console log it. That's all that we need to do, guys, inside that. Very simple. And if you reload your application now, guys, click on edit, change the value, click on update. If I see refresh here, nothing happened. Let me see what is the problem. Let me refresh the click on edit, change the name here, click on update. Nothing happens. Let me see, guys, what is the problem here. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let me check wherever I made the mistake. Inside user component, we are actually binding that handle update user. Let me console log a simple line that update function working. Update function working. Here also, let me console log the updated name and updated country. So this is just to troubleshoot the issue, guys, because wherever the error has taken place, just add some console log statements. And also here, just see console log updated user. And also at the server side, just see whether you get the request or not. Console log request params.id, console log request body. Let me see, refresh it and inspect element, click on edit, update. You will see update function working. You will get this, but the data is not updating. If I see in the console, we are actually updated name, updated country. If I check my database, it hasn't been updated. Just wait, guys, let me track the bug here and then come back. Sorry guys, I tracked the error. It's for a very funny bug. You will basically see on the server side we are receiving as updated name, updated country. Instead of we need to receive as name and country, the key value pair, because in the database if you check, we are storing as name and country. We are not storing at updated name and updated country. So right here, whenever we are calling this put request, we just need to, in the user Svelte component, right here in the json.stringify, in this object, we just need to make sure that we do this, which is name is equal to updated name and country equal to updated country. Just make this change, guys, and now the update process will work. If you click on edit, change this, click on update, you will see your, if you refresh now, our record has been updated, and if you check the database also, the name has been updated. So this is actually the CRUD operation, guys. We can add user, we can delete user, we can show the list of users in a tabular structure. You can see that. You can change it. So it's a Svelte user CRUD kind of application in Node.js and Express using MongoDB and Mongoose library. If you need the full source code, guys, the links are given in the description. You can purchase the full source code if you have any sort of issues, and from PayPal or Stripe in USD or Indian rupees. Please subscribe the channel, hit the like button, and share this channel with your friends. And I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Until then, thank you very much.